Um, I'm Carolee. A lot of you guys might not know me. I don't come to church a lot, and so this is kind of a new, exciting thing for me. So I'm a little anxious, so if you see this thing shaking, it's probably just my hands. But when I sat up here, I found this leaf under my chair. I picked it up, and it was like, this is like Dumbo's magic feather. Feel safe and carry this. So it was a little bit of a blessing from God to let me know that this is good and it's okay that I'm here and that I have something hopefully helpful to say to people. So anyway, well, look at the times. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now, and the topic I was given was pretty flexible as far as what I was asked to speak about, which is basically my feelings about Christ and faith in general. And so I was trying to figure out how to take this huge topic and put it into 12 to 14 minutes. And so what I kind of came down to was the idea of faith. And so I've been looking up faith and trying to study about faith. And in Hebrews it talks about that faith is a substance of things hoped for, but evidence of things not seen. And I realized that faith is not a perfect knowledge. And that was a huge relief to me, because I am not somebody who can say that I have a perfect testimony of things, because I don't. But what I do have is a strong belief in God and that He cares about me as a person. And that I do my best to live as He would want me to live. And I feel like that's the kind of the basis of what I really need to know. The other things I think will kind of figure themselves out over time, and I don't have to know all those things right now, because I don't. And if I focus on that, it's going to trip me up too much. So the other thing that I kept coming across in studying about faith was the term exercise. I hear this word, exercise faith. And who likes to exercise? That's something that tends to be kind of something that we have to do intentionally. And I was like, gosh, faith takes work? What is this? So I started kind of thinking about that idea of exercising faith. And I realized that, faith is actually a very active process. It's something that we do by choice. It's not something that comes to us by default. And I was reading a conference talk by Elder Neil A. Anderson that was in October of 2015. And he states, the title of the talk is Faith is not by chance, but by choice. And in this talk, he says, faith in Jesus Christ is a gift from heaven that comes as we choose to believe and as we work and hold on to it. And that stood out to me because I feel like I don't know everything, but I choose to be willing to try to learn those things. I choose to try to look for ways, such as this funny little leaf, to have evidence that God knows I exist. And it's not something that comes to me naturally. I have to look for opportunities for that in my life. Because I'm not somebody that, I feel like God has to work through me with things like this, because otherwise I just don't get it. And then in October of 2016, Elder Uchtdorf has a similar message. He states, faith is being certain of what we hope for and certain of what we cannot see. So it's not something that is always obvious, but it's not something that we can see. And he talks about the story of, he's a pilot, he talks about the story of flying through storms and clouds and relying purely on his instruments. And, I think that's a great example of faith, because you're having to rely on something that you don't know where you're going, but you're trying to listen to the messages that your plane is telling you. So I thought that was a good example of that too. And another thought about this that was sticking out to me was, this is something I tell people I work with a lot, is that everyone believes in something. The fact that we're all here today means we believe in the importance of waking up and getting dressed and getting in our cars and coming somewhere. We're driven by a set of principles that we believe is right. And we all have different beliefs in what will help us to be happy in our lives. Some people have a lot of faith in money or in fame or in getting likes on Facebook or weight loss or beauty or there's tons of things that people pursue as a way of feeling good about themselves. We're human, we seek peace, and what I wanted to, the point I wanted to make with that is that we have to purposely seek Christ, because other things are often giving us messages of happiness, but they're kind of band-aid happinesses. I mean, we can't guarantee someone's going to like our stuff on Facebook. I have a lot of animals, but I have a bunch of chickens, and I don't know if you guys know what broody is with chicken, and you guys know what chickens are when they get broody. Basically, they're trying to hatch their eggs, and so they go into this zone where they just kind of sit there on their eggs, and they just like, you can see them just thinking hatch, 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 you know. And I put a lot of golf balls in my chicken coop to try to encourage my chickens to lay there and not in the haystack where I have to go search for it. And it's like Easter every day, egg hunt. But anyway, so I got these golf balls, and you know, quite frequently I'll have a hen that'll be sitting on a golf ball, and you know, she is very, very determined to hatch it. And if Will could hatch it, she would, you know, because she is convinced that golf ball is going to pay out something. And I think about that a little bit as a metaphor. Is I know how often are we sitting on a golf ball hoping that it's going to pay off? You know, how often are we sitting on something that we think will make us happy, and we have a lot of faith in it, and we're giving it a lot of energy, but it's really not going to pay off. And so my thought is, if we can sit on an egg, at least there's a chance that it'll pay off. You know, faith in Christ, we don't have it proven to us, but it gives us a chance that it'll pay off. It's not just, it's not something that, I guess that's the definition of faith. Faith is that we can have hope that something good will come of this other than a short-term happiness that a golf ball might bring us. So, so basically with that idea is to encourage us all to be intentional about where we put our faith. You know, think, I'm going to trust God, I'm going to trust the Savior, I'm not going to trust other things in life that are giving me little promises of happiness, but I'm going to try to actually put trust in the actual egg and not in the golf ball. So I wanted to share a little bit about my personal faith and kind of how that affects me in my life. So the way that I kind of see it is I have a ton of animals, way more than I probably should, and I care very deeply about them. You know, and every day I go out and the chickens come up and they're like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hey, what's up? And, you know, the goats come up and tell me how hungry they are, and, you know, the horses complain about their food. And, you know, I have a very strong relationship with them, but they all trust me. When I approach them, they come to me and they know I have good things for them. And I feel like they don't know for sure what's going to happen that day, but they believe that I have their best interest at heart. And I believe that Christ sees me that way, that I just have to kind of see the positive in him and trust that things will be okay. I have a goat right now that's got an abscess, and so I've been giving her, you know, penicillin, and she don't like that. It's not fun. But sometimes God has some things for us that are still in our best interest, even if they don't feel good. And I try so hard to communicate to this goat that what I'm doing is to help her and to benefit her. And she has to have faith that that's true. And my hope is that she does have faith in that, because I treat her kindly the majority of the time, other than when I'm jabbing her with a needle. And I also have a mare, I have a horse that hates being dewormed. And, you know, she will throw herself on the ground before she will be dewormed. And so, and I try, and I offer it, and I try to get the paste in her mouth, and she pours it all over me. And so because of that, I have to give her a feed through dewormer, which isn't quite as effective, in my opinion, because it has a different chemical in it. But anyway, I think about her, and I think, how much am I like her in my life, where God is offering me something, but because of my own stubbornness, I end up not getting the optimal treatment that I could have gotten. So because of her lack of faith in me, she ends up with a medication that maybe isn't quite as effective. So anyway, I'm a big metaphor person, as you can tell. So anyway, that's why I wanted to share those stories. Another piece about this is President Hinckley talks frequently about, he talks about not worrying and that things will work out. And I love when he talks about that, because it just feels so comforting. And so he states, he says, it all works out, don't worry. I say that to myself every morning. It will all work out. If you do your best, it will all work out. Put your trust in God, move forward with faith and confidence in the future, and God will not forsake us. And I think about that in regards to my animals, is that they have trust in me that it'll all work out. And I need to look to them as an example of that, because of how they have simple faith that way. I also feel like I have to trust that if I do my best and have faith that God has my back and that I don't have to be perfect, but that He'll accept that. Another piece of faith that I wanted to share with you is I'm into sheep herding with my dog. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen a sheepdog trial, but they communicate with the dog through a whistle. And frequently the dog is up on a hillside and the handler is far away from the sheep and they're sending the dog up to get the sheep. But the dog doesn't know where the sheep are. The dog can't always see the sheep. So the dog is going purely based on that whistle. And I think when I feel the whistle in my soul, when I have intuition, or when I feel, prompting in my heart, do I follow it? Or do I be like, no, I can go find those sheep by myself? Or do I try to listen to the handler, because I want to have faith where I listen to my handler and listen that he knows where I'm supposed to go rather than where I want to go. Which is hard to do because, for a dog, they're so driven to find those sheep, and if they think the sheep are over here and the handler's saying, no, go over here, the dog has to trust the handler enough to go that direction. So that's another lesson to me of something that I want to work on, that I try to do in my life. And then lastly, I wanted to share a couple of ideas that I hope that I use, that I hope will mean something to you guys, to remind you of faith and how to kind of use that in your life. Once again, it's animal metaphors, because that's how my brain works. I frequently think of when I have a trial in my life, a struggle, I frequently think of what, if I were the size of an ant, and I was crawling around on the sidewalk and there's a blade of grass, what that looks like. To an ant, that blade of grass is significant, and it looks at it and it's like, what do I do with this? But if you're an eagle and you see that same blade of grass, it's a very different perspective. And what I try to do is remember that God sees things from above. God can see the point of everything. He sees how everything fits together, but I can't, because I'm in this place of the ant. But if I can try to elevate my own mind into seeing how God might be seeing me, then I have all more faith, because I can recognize that there is more to the story than I can see right now. And I have to be able to trust that. So I was walking the dog the other day and saw a hawk flying around, and that's why I thought of that for this talk was, I want to be more like that when I have a trial, instead of just seeing the blade of grass and getting hung up on that. Something else that I kind of do, this might be kind of a silly thing, but sometimes when I'm in a stressful moment and I'm trying to remember God's place in my life and I'm getting caught in my head, I actually take my hands and I just go like this, because this to me means receiving and being open to new information, versus this, which is being closed and being like stuck in myself. So that's just something goofy that I kind of do, but it's actually, it kind of snaps my brain back into a place of trust versus a place of stubbornness. The last thing I wanted to share is the idea of being kind to ourselves in this process. A lot of us get kind of mean to ourselves sometimes because we think we should know it all, or we think we should have it all together. And we don't, and that's okay, because that's what it was designed for, is to help us to become the best people that we can be. I saw a quote that said, I was looking up that word humble, and that's often, President Hinckley especially talks about it meaning being teachable. So being humble does not mean thinking badly of yourself, it means being teachable to new information, such as kind of opening your hands and opening your heart to new things. I heard a quote or a statement that said, "Everyone likes to learn, but no one likes being taught." And I was like, I kind of relate to that. We like to know stuff, but it's hard to be open to those things. And then along those same lines of being kind, President Hinckley says, I love this. He says, "Don't nag yourselves with thoughts of failure. Do not set goals far beyond your capacity to achieve. Simply do what you can do in the best way that you know how, and the Lord will accept your effort. And I have faith in that because I feel like I do try my best, even though I'm far from perfect. So anyway, I hope that some stuff that I've shared today has helped somebody, and I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Jesus.